Welcome to Heroes and Droids, your guide to movies and TV shows about superheroes, sci-fi, Disney, and action, from Marvel to DC, from Star Wars to Star Trek, from James Bond to the Fast and the Furious. We will review the theatrical films and streaming delights you care about most. Tonight we're reviewing, and I'm excited about this, WandaVision Episode 6, all new Spooktacular. If you've subscribed and you're a part of our fans there, you already know that Christopher and I did a hot take on Friday early afternoon when it premiered, and
hot.
Yes.
Hot.
So now we get to dig into the details, all the skinny, all the spoilers, and speculate on what we saw, and we are excited about that. But before we do, I'm Doc Rotten. Let me introduce the rest of the crew, starting off with the Slattman, Chris Slattery. How you doing, sir?
Good. I don't know. I have this urge to start planning my Halloween costume already.
Yes. What are you going to be?
I don't know. Probably some kid.
Some kid
That goes fast.
I don't know. I see what you did there. All right. Also joining us is podcasting rockstar and international cosplay queen, Vanessa Thompson, wearing her Scarlet Witch get up. Hey,
I'm ready for Halloween.
I was told it was an original character.
Yeah, this is an original character, Doc. Thought of this one on my own.
Yeah. What is it? A fortune teller?
Yeah, a Sokovian fortune teller.
Right, also joining us is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Moore. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm dressed as a regular inhabitant of Westview when it's not Halloween.
Shouldn't you be screaming?
Oh, this is
crying slowly.
Yeah.
Can I get my Oscar now?
One.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to do this. We're going to do WandaVision Episode 6. Let's take a look at what it is. Yeah, it is came out February 12th, 2021. It's directed by Matt Shakman and written by Chuck Hayward and Peter Cameron, among others. And the cast, well, we've talked about them: Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany, Catherine Hahn, and many others, including Evan Peters is back. Yay. And disturbances on Halloween separate Wanda and the Vision, who looks into the anomalous activity in Westview. And of course, there's a wonderful picture of them sporting their classic Marvel costumes, especially from the 70s and the 80s. Of course, well, even back to the 60s in some case. But of course, they it's all for Halloween, so they look rather ridiculous, and which is what you would fear they would do if they tried to literally take these costumes. So it works in the most spectacular way humanly possible, and I love this episode. I'm just going to straight out say this is my favorite episode. It had me as soon as they were in costume. That was it. They had me. I was wrapped. So let's go around and get the rest of our first impressions, and then we're going to deep dive into all that we saw. Slattman, you are up first, sir. What did you make of this episode?
I loved it. Evan Peters is a national treasure.
Nice.
And I loved his inclusion. He fit in so well. And it really didn't miss a beat, like between looking at the relationship that Wanda had with her brother in Age of Ultron and what she has with Evan Peters. It really feels similar, but just different enough that you know that something's off. But I mean, obviously something's off because it's not the same actor, but it still feels kind of similar, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, it feels oddly right, but yet just wrong enough.
And those child actors are great.
Yes, and they have costumes too, and they were wonderful.
Yeah, and Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany are killing it still, and the writing staff is just. We all thought this was going to go in one direction, and I feel like it's going the complete opposite direction in which the entire internet thought it was going to go. And I'm so happy.
Nice.
It's a great episode. It's awesome. It has so many great fun moments, but it has so many great like deep moments and so many great story moments that just make you go scratch your head and go, what the hell did I just see?
Yeah, they planted a lot of seeds. They answered some questions. It's crazy, crazy. All right, Vanessa, what about you? What was your first impression of episode 6?
I loved the theme this month, this week, this month. I really loved the Malcolm in the Middle theme. I loved that the changes that you see in television and how evident this one is. This is the first single cam episode that we get, like in universe. All of them have been multicam up until this point, so that was really cool to see how they're doing little changes that you saw throughout television, and they're incorporating those. I think we talked about that last week too, with some of the shots they were using. I think you said the effect they used to age the kids, right, was something of the period. Yeah, that was pretty cool. So I really, really like that a lot. But truly, I'm very confused what is going to happen next, because I'm still of the impression that something's happening to Wanda, and that it's really not all her doing it. And I think we see that especially too with her conversations with Pietro during this episode, which, like the Slattman said, I absolutely loved so much. I can't wait to see what's going to happen next week with him after what's happened in this one. But yeah, I had a lot of fun and I'm very confused. So this conversation is going to help me probably a lot.
Very confused. If we don't confuse you more. All right, Christopher G. Moore. We kind of gave our first impressions earlier, but go ahead and repeat them here, and then we'll move into our bigger discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is it's kind of it's hitting a nice stride with combining the TV universe with the sword verse, and just going back and forth between those. And on top of that, I think, I'm starting to think, I mean, I think we mentioned this before. There's like so many Easter eggs. There's so many little things that you think mean something, or they might not mean anything. This is like the new Lost for me. I'm like going down a rabbit hole after every episode. I'm watching TikTok videos. I'm watching YouTube videos. I'm looking at Reddit. I'm looking at all these different sources trying to find some kind of like meaning behind stuff. And I almost feel like they're almost throwing out pieces of dialogue just to keep us guessing. Because there's like 2 uses of the word nightmare in this, and you're like, does this mean nightmare? There's a devil reference, like leash hell, devil demon spawn. I mean, there's like, is it Mephisto? We got like the Agnes part of it, which, if you notice, is a part where she's like trying to grasp onto something. Is she missing her brooch? I mean, there's like so many things in this, and like there's meaning behind names of stuff. I love that. I love that we have that sort of like dollar store version of what's his name?
Which one? Quicksilver?
The speedy guy, Quicksilver. Yeah, we get to see the dollar store version of Quicksilver.
With the shorts.
yeah. And so, which actually, if any of those costumes, if you look at the original comics is based on, they're pretty close to that. Mm-hmm. They're just as cheesy seeing them in real life.
Yeah. Love that the Vision has like yellow underwear on, yellow boxers.
yeah. So but at the same time, like, even though we have that kind of goofy, and by the way, I think Peterson is like great in this, but also there's definitely something not evil, kind of evil going on, because if you notice that everybody else in the world isn't as cognizant, and the whole time you see him, he's paying attention to stuff. So something's off about that. So yeah, there's all these little things, there's meaning behind things, and then like you have that holy, what the hell's happening at the very end, and
clowns. We got
clowns. With clowns, and and I know a lot of people are like, oh God, what happened to Darcy? So there's all kinds of things that are happening, but also there's a dark underbelly to all this as well, especially when we get to the outer outskirts of like this town, and how whatever magic is making this happen, it's these people are already trapped as it is, but can you imagine being trapped to where you're basically motionless and you're just standing there frozen? I mean, there's really kind of a dark. I mean, I think the darkest part is when he mentions something about like, where'd all these kids come from? So have they just been frozen in their beds all this time? So there's a dark edge to this. And then also, this is definitely the episode where Hayward goes full douchebag, and you just really hate him. So there's something going on there. So yeah, there's like so many, definitely still a lot of questions opened up. Even though we've got some answers, but they're answers that have that they're like double-edged questions. If that makes sense.
Double-edged questions. I love that.
So yeah, I know I love this episode too. I mean, it's got so, and I've like been researching stuff and finding stuff, and I do love the we talked about costumes. Did you notice the Freddy Jason guy?
No, I missed
he's
that.
wearing a hockey mask and he's wearing like a striped shirt, like so he couldn't make up his mind. So they had a little horror reference for those horror fiends like us.
Yeah.
A lot of horror references, actually.
Well, yeah, well, a lot of references to comics if you read into that stuff, like big black cats and other things.
Yes, there is one bit of dialogue that I found really interesting. They said something about Kick-Ass, and she goes Kick-Ass, and in Kick-Ass,
talk about meta.
And Evan Peters both starred in that together. So it was kind of funny. There's some pictures of them side by side, and you just look at it and go, I just like that they pointed that out, little meta there. So there's a lot going on here. The kids, let's talk about the kids, Billy and Tommy, because they reveal they have the superpowers as well, right? One, I forget which is which. This is terrible. I should know. One is
Speed and Wiccan.
Yeah, Speed and Wiccan. One is Speedy, and then the other one has in here that has basically attuned. Here's that Vision's in trouble. We don't really know if anything else happens, but he was able to stop his brother from zipping around real fast. That was interesting. So, and of course, he's wearing the Wiccan costume as well, even though it's basically a bandana and a cape tied around his neck. It's still reminiscent of the costume, which is great.
It's very cute.
Yes. And I should know which one's which. I'm going to have to do it while you guys are talking. Find out who's
Tommy and Billy?
Yeah, which one's Billy, which one's Tommy?
Billy is Wiccan.
Billy is Wiccan. Okay. There you go. Thank you. And I don't know. What do you guys think of this? Of these kids? What's happening here? Is there anything that we should speculate on?
It'll be interesting to see if they make it out of Westview.
If they don't, I think that's going to spell trouble.
Well, yeah. I mean, for those people that have any ancillary knowledge about the comics, it doesn't end too well. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things to where
that'd be so sad.
Or they make it out, or someone steals them.
Yeah.
There could be that too. So, because that could be the whole Agnes Harkness thing, or Agnes. So yeah, I do love that how you see these kids and they're starting to sort of like understand their powers, a little bit better towards the end of this episode. And I think one of the great things is like you see earlier where Wanda stops the kid, the Quicksilver, I forget their names too. The fast
Speedy.
Kid, Speedy. I keep wanting to call him Speedy Gonzalez, and that's a whole different thing. Speedy, stopping Speedy, and then later on, Wiccan sort of like stops his brother.
Oh,
so you go to sort of like I love you see how that works. That even though he's fast, that she can stop him in the same way that his brother can do that. And I love it when he does it, and the brother's like, "Whoa." So yeah. I mean, I think that's, and I'm kind of glad we don't have the little version of those kids, which are horrible actors. I think that was on purpose. But yeah, I think it will be kind of interesting, and I think that's one thing people are mostly looking at, because if you look at some of the comics, her kids are taken, and then her mind is kind of like blanked, and then she forgets she has kids, and then somebody reminds her of it, and then that's where she goes all crazy. So we're gonna that's the cool thing about this. We don't really know how it's gonna play out. Everybody thinks it's gonna play out by this scenario or that scenario, but we really don't know at this point. And so we've got three individual hour episodes coming up
I know.
that could go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Vanessa, what do you think about the kids? Where I guess you're lost a little bit with those still, or are you? That's the least lost thing.
It's just as far as where we're gonna go next. I'm so confused. But no, I really liked their role this week, and what they did to progress the story. And I absolutely think something is going to hinge on the kids. I'm kind of hoping that Agatha plays a little bit more into it, because it's kind of like they've been sprinkling her in here and there, and I'm really ready to see her kind of her character come into fruition.
Her costume was a witch.
Yes, I was going to mention that. I love that.
She did cackle.
Yes, just like the Wicked Witch of the West. Yeah, and I loved that, and I want to see. It's not so much that I want to see her as a villain, but I do want to see what her character is going to bring to the table, because it's got to be something beyond what she's doing now.
I think so. It's too big a character not to be, right?
Yeah.
Have to be.
Yeah. And I have to also say, while we're talking about her, I really missed her in this episode. We got just a little spattering of her, and it was very different, very, dark and telling of what's going on. And I missed her comedic presence that we've been getting throughout all these episodes.
We did get to see her little naughty.
Oh yeah,
her booty.
Her pants.
Yes, that was great.
Which again, another. I feel like they're just like hitting us over the head. This woman is Agnes Harkness, and I think I would, out of everything that's happened, that would be the one thing I'd be most disappointed with.
If she's not.
Yeah, and I have
gotta be.
I have seen a online set picture of her with like another purple outfit on. I mean, she's even always got the purple in most things, so it's got to be. But at the same time, how was she involved with this?
Yeah,
it almost. She's either a really good actor or she got pulled into Wanda's brainwashing somehow.
Well, and I think one thing people keep pointing out is, if you think about the outskirts of that town, everybody's frozen. So how is she able to move, when she's on the outskirts herself in a car? She's drove to that specific point. So how is she able to do that? I think she was
trying to escape, right? Because at one point she's like, Wanda won't even let us think about it.
Well, yeah, but how is she even able to make it to that point if they're not able to?
That's where she's a good actor.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking
maybe because she's a main character, she has more flexibility in her role.
But also somebody pointed out, like, if you notice that when he wakes her up, she's going like this looking for a brooch. Is her brooch like her big magical thing that allows her to not be affected by things? And maybe some other. Go ahead.
Oh, kind of like a totem from Inception.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, which is this is like a show version of Inception. But and that maybe this other person, whoever's Ralph is, or whoever this other person who's dealing with them, whether it be magical or technological, we don't even know at this point. Maybe they stole it or something, and that, but I don't know. That's again, there's like a million questions with every little thing that happens on this show, and it drives me nuts, but in a good way.
Yeah,
it is. It's bonkers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because there's rumors of Sentinels being built. There's rumors about.
Oh yeah.
I didn't hear that.
I haven't heard Sentinels.
Yeah,
no, they. Yeah, I think
that's what they want to build from the Vision. Yeah.
Well, yeah. The big thing is that Hayward may possibly be Ultron, and that he's like trying to use Vision stuff to create Sentinels. So I don't know how that all works out, but that's
I think Ultron and Sentinels were connected, but
I don't know. Or Hay was just
Well,
trying to use the. I don't know. There's so many different different.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like a backdoor way to get into the mutants. All this is the backdoor to get into mutants and X-Men. But let's not get lost on that because that could be a whole show.
Oh,
Let's talk about Wanda talking to Pietro because there's a lot dropped there that's worth discussing. Because he always has these smart aleck answers that kind of answer her questions but don't necessarily jive, and she's taking the answers but she's not really. You get the idea that she's suspicious, that she doesn't really know what's going on. She doesn't know why Quicksilver is there and why it looks, is this a different Quicksilver? She doesn't seem to realize the difference as much as you would think, right?
I think she does. She's just kind of going with it. And I think that's very telling of what's happening to her. I think she's going with some things that, like she said before, I don't really know how this started. I don't know how we got here. So at some point she had to have just been going with the punches. And this kind of seems like a part of that. But it's so interesting. They're constantly, he's like, "You're testing me, aren't you?" And they're questioning each other. And I think he's somebody. I honestly think he's somebody. And I think we really see that when she pushes him back after he's like, "Don't worry, sis, your dead husband can't die twice," or something like that. And she pushes him away, throws him back. I think she senses something.
Mm-hmm.
I think she knows after that conversation that they had. And she's opening up to him, and the things that he's saying and it doesn't seem very genuine. His reactions don't seem very genuine, and the relationship doesn't seem very, very connected. And I think at this point, she's kind of realized someone may be playing a trick on her.
Yep.
In that sense.
Yep, I think that's exactly it. Because, I mean, there's so much going on with him that she literally says, "That's not how I remember it."
Yeah.
Right.
And the fact that he knows things that he shouldn't because he's been dead.
Yeah. Well, that, and he's also not. I mean, even though he looks like the Fox version of the X-Men character, he wouldn't have a lot of this knowledge that he has.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have any of it.
We have any of it, and even so, even if he was just her brother, but with a different face, he still wouldn't have knowledge of Vision dying. He wouldn't have any of that knowledge to begin with. So something's off there. And I think if you look at it, most of the time when things are happening on the show, like the normal show stuff, they play along like characters. But if you see the very beginning when he's acting like he's asleep on the couch and they're talking, and then later on when the kid's breaking the fourth wall and talking, just like Malcolm in the middle, he instead of playing his video games, he's looking over and listening. So it's almost like he's scheming. Something's going on there. So I think it comes down to is this whatever evil force is really causing all this is parading as her brother? Is he, or maybe he's a split personality of
both of
Wanda, maybe he's that side that's questioning a lot of the stuff that she's doing and herself that's trying to block. Because if you see that one part, where it's almost like she's not cognizant. Let's say that she's doing all this stuff without her knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
She's created a bubble around her own conscious, trying to deal with the grief of the loss of Vision. She already lost her brother. And so this side, this is almost like the darker side who's calling into play. Where did all these kids come from?
Mm-hmm.
I do also find it kind of interesting. Every time somebody mentions somebody, they show up. Like we had the episode before was your brother, they mentioned the brother, and he shows up.
And who was this one? Who was in this one? Who did they mention in this one that showed up?
Well, the previous one they meant. Remember, Vision was asking why aren't there kids in this town? And in the Halloween episode, the kids show up. So it feels like every time they mention it. So then in this episode, your parents would be really proud of you if they were here. And so I'm like, is her parents going to show up in the next episode? Because I feel like anytime somebody mentions it, she almost makes something makes them appear. Mm-hmm. So maybe those people we see in the commercials and the previous commercials may pop up in the next episode. I don't know, but I mean, I think that's interesting. So that's what makes me kind of wonder, but yeah, he does seem to have that. He asks those really dark, delicate questions. Even he's almost like he's the jerky character you see on these sitcoms and
Yep.
stuff.
Yeah.
But he's also driving a knife into things. He's instigating a lot of these issues and stuff. And but yeah, I think that's the big question. Is like I want to sort of like everybody else is like, what exactly is he?
Well, along those darker lines too, speaking of commercials, what did you think about the commercial this week? That was super dark. Like, what is that? First of all, you said they were all tied to the stones, right? Do you know which stone was this tied to? One of the stones?
Most people think it's the soul stone.
The soul stone because of death. But like, does that mean that she's trapped in there? Does that mean that they're gonna be there till they die? Like, that was dark.
Well, it could be things like, I think Doc thinks it's the Red Skull or whatever, but some people think it's like whatever deal. Maybe she made some kind of deal for her to be able to bring Vision back to life. And if you think about,
is he though? Is he back to life, or just in the show? The show.
Well, but that's the thing. He's alive in that bubble.
Enough in
that bubble.
And there's like, if this really is Mephisto behind everything, like he'll give you what you want, but there's always a hook to it. So it very well could be that he says, okay, yeah, I'll give you Vision back, but he can only live in this like square, like, what is it, like mile or couple miles or whatever,
for a while.
And
yeah,
and he's not gonna be, he's gonna, and it's like, it's gonna be like he's gonna question it. He's not gonna just fall in line, like, and that's kind of that feels very much like a
monkey's paw kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and also if you look at it, the colors of the shark are sort of similar to Peter's outfit.
Oh, the Quicksilver.
Yeah, and there's a line of dialogue. I think the shark says something like "Yo, dog" or something like that, and I think Peter's character actually says something "Yo" something or whatever in the same episode. So it's almost like maybe he might be part of that, And then also you have that thing where it's like you're alive but at what expense? You're trying to live this sort of fake idyllic life, but it's not real. So, and then you have, all these people that are frozen in place and are not be able to live. These other people are suffering because of this idea coming to life. So, but yeah, that whole, and that commercial is definitely the embodiment of that specific time period as well. Cause you had all those like kitty things, almost feels like Yo Play Yogurt, it's
and the shark and everything.
Cause there's always that stop motion animation type stuff at that specific time. So I love that, to where I think most people come like, what the hell did I just watch? Yeah. It's the first one we don't have either of those two actors in it as well.
Yeah, unless they were voicing it. All right, so before we get too carried away, we're running out of time, so we have to talk about the Vision escaping the hex, and what happens, and the Wanda's reaction, and then of course wrapped around that is our trio of heroes that we're following outside. Darcy, Jimmy Woo, and Monica are all they all get fired, let go, right? And they sneak on board, and Jimmy Woo has a nice 1-2 punch. And they get separated. They're going after this mysterious character who is going to give them this armory truck, right? We don't know who that is. Is that going to be somebody special? Is it going to be Mr. Fantastic? I hope so. Or is it going to be, well, we won't go there. Let's just hope it's Mr. Fantastic. But anyway, but we got to talk about the Vision, and we got to talk about what happens there, because you guys, we talked about like stuff comes out and it's okay, right? The rope, the clothes, Monica, even though she's been rewritten twice, but the Vision starts falling apart, decaying right in front, which causes Wanda then to react, as she finds out, to expand the hex out to save him, and in the process turns the encampment into a big circus full of clowns. And of course, Darcy is wrapped up in that as well, but we don't know what happened to Darcy. All right, so let's start with the Vision. Slatman, why did the Vision fall apart?
Well, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. It's kind of a monkey's paw situation. Vision can be alive, but only in this like space.
Mhm.
And if you notice when he goes out of it, he falls apart and his parts are going back into that space.
They're going back into space, yeah.
And when she stretched it out, he reformed on the inside.
Ooh, that's right. That's right.
Mhm.
So is that, do you think, what's going to happen to the kids if they go out of the space?
I don't know. Because they're probably not playing by the same rules that an artificially created. No, actually, I don't
What
know.
are they? Yeah, we don't know what they are.
Are they little teeny tiny like little robots that look like them? Are they actual human or actual humans that were created?
Well,
like
Monica did say that she's like, no, the kids are real, and take that with a grain of salt, right? But
well, did she really give birth to them?
But again, stuff that was created in that universe, like the clothing and stuff, existed outside of that. So if she created these beings came out of her and were created in that weird universe, I would assume that they would be able to live outside of it. Who's to say that she won't expand that bubble to the whole world as well?
Right.
I like the way you said world and earth together.
Yeah.
What do you think about? Will the Vision get out of the hex? Will he be a character, from the MCU after this?
Well, and if you watch the little movie that's playing in the little town square, it's a movie called A Creature Walks Among Us, about this creature who's wearing a human suit and tries to escape his confinement.
Speaking of, that leads to another theory I've heard, that it could potentially be the Kree.
Well, that's another one as well.
So, Creature Among Us, Kree shapeshifters.
Also, this is a deep dive, but the Coronet movie theater, there's a poem called Coronet. It's written by a person named last name Marvell, Marvell, and it's about a Jesus, this guy who wants to create the crown, create a new crown for Jesus. So you have Vision, who's almost like the Jesus figure, and when the person tries to create the new crown, the Satan gets into the creation of it. So you have like the Mind Stone, which is almost like the crown for Vision. But anyway, that's a whole.
Wow, that's deep, man. That's deep.
But yeah, I think that's I'm kind of worried that by the end of this week, Vision may die for a third time.
Yeah.
Which well, unless I don't know.
Who's to say that he's actually alive now, though?
Well,
he might be alive, and that's it.
Well, I think she's the only person that could really. Can't she use magic? Somehow he has some form of a Mind Stone because it stayed lit when he was outside of the bubble. So I don't know. I think
it makes you wonder is when she saw him and he was all zombified, and then when she saw Evan Peters all zombified, was that her mind playing tricks on her, or is that how their bodies really are right now?
Or someone
walking around like that and reanimated like that?
Because I could see it. I could see them putting that in there where that's her mind playing tricks on her,
or some evil being playing tricks on her.
Could it be Satan?
Yeah, although I don't think it's Nightmare, because I think Nightmare has to work when you're asleep, unless everybody's just asleep.
I don't know. I think the idea of the Mr. Fantastic being the friend and bringing that universe in, and
well, you saw what movie was playing at the little theater, right? The
Incredibles
Incredibles, which was influenced by the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. And the Parent Trap, right?
Oh yeah, the twins, right?
and Elastigirl, Miss Stretchy Arms, Mr. Fantastic, Stretchy Arms.
Well, yeah, that's yeah, they basically the Incredibles was influenced by that. So
Mhm.
I feel like they've had so many hints that could be.
That's gonna be so fun.
I mean,
That's
I don't
gonna
know,
be
man.
so
It
fun.
feels too early in the game for them to introduce that because they haven't even.
Look, y'all, I've
cast.
been growing my hair out specifically to be Mr. Fantastic. Okay. That's why I have this gray in my hair so that I can be Mr. Fantastic.
I
So
wish
that would
I
be
wish I could use that excuse as my gray start growing
do
out.
it. Why not?
Why I have gray in my goatee is because of Mr. Fantastic.
There you go.
What? All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up because there's just so much we could just keep talking and talking. Well, let's do one last thing though, because I want to know what you guys think is going to happen to Darcy. It's not going to be a kit car. Stop it, Christopher.
No. here's what I saw this on TikTok and I love it, even though it's ridiculous. I would love to see Darcy meld with the vehicle and then she turns to Knight Rider's car Kit. Please let this happen. Although I will say, a lot of people worried about her, but she did an interview recently where she talked about she says she can't specifically say, but she has other Marvel projects coming up.
Yep.
So what does that mean? Will she have powers? Because there's one of the posters you see where in the TV she has like a weird pattern on her chest, some kind of outfit. So.
And they did say, and she did say that for Rambo, when she went in and out of the thing, it rewrote her cells.
I mean,
Mhm.
I guess she would. I mean, Darcy would have to have like the X gene or whatever for that to happen. But, I'm
so interested.
Although,
See.
wouldn't it be funny if she goes into the other world and she's her character from Two Broke Girls? She's like a waitress in the town.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, dude, they could do that.
That would be
though.
perfect if they really wanted.
It'd be the
I
right
don't-
time too.
That would
wouldn't it?
be pretty. I hope so. I don't want her to be a car. I never thought that she would be like melded with a car.
I think that would be hilarious if she was like an AI for a car,
be
like one of
pretty
those.
funny.
Just saying.
It would be pretty funny.
But
Wanda, where do you want to go?
yeah, although I do love yeah, I do love me some Darcy on this show.
She's good.
Oh, yeah, I love her.
Add her to my crush list.
Oh my, oh my. Yeah, the Jimmy Woo and Darcy. I mean, they're like trying to get them a show. Like,
Well, that guy who
That'd be
brought it up
great.
on Twitter did supposedly got a meeting to pitch a show for
Yeah.
that. So I really hope that happens.
it'd be interesting to see what happens. All right, let's do this. Let's wrap this up. Let's give final thoughts on this. We'll give it a score, and we got to pick a favorite scene out of all this stuff. We got to pick a favorite.
There's
scene.
a lot of good scenes.
I know. Slattman,
We didn't
you're
even
up.
talk about half of them.
We couldn't.
I
We
know,
talked about it.
we're
Yeah,
out of
so much to
time.
say. Yeah, Slattman, you're up first.
This show is fantastic.
4.
What? This show is incredible. And
No, I'm sorry.
they're doing great things, and I think this was a blessing in disguise that they had to air this before the Falcon and Winter Soldier, because I think this is getting everybody hooked now. I cannot go onto any social media without seeing anybody talk about about this. The acting, like our main cast is doing such a good job.
Absolutely.
And the writers are doing a masterclass. Like this is a perfect like how to make a great like series that everybody wants to talk about, because there's so much to talk about. It's like I never watched Lost when it was airing and when it was in its heyday, but I imagine that this is what the Lost community felt like. And it's awesome. And I really hope that they stick the landing, unlike Lost.
That's the trick. They got to stick the landing. They do.
But we got 3 hours to figure it out. So I'm going to give this episode a 5. It's excellent. And my favorite scene might. There's so many great scenes. You know, I'm gonna go the scene where Wanda and Pietro are talking in the town square.
Ooh, nice.
And he keeps pestering her, and then it gets to the point where he's like, "Oh, well, surely your husband can't die twice," and she just like straight up just like blasts him away. Like, I don't know. I loved the build up in that scene, from like minor pestering to like really like poking the bear to like taking a stick and whacking the bear in the face as hard as you can. Like,
man, pushing all the buttons, man. Pushing
and
all the buttons.
I love Evan Peters, so
Yeah, he did a great job. Great job. I makes you wish he sticks around after this, right? That
maybe he will.
I know.
What if he is a villain and he sticks around for phase 4?
He's Mephisto. Oh, okay, maybe. All right, Vanessa, you're up next. What are your final thoughts? Your score, favorite scene?
Oh, yeah. I have so many questions going into the final 3 episodes, but all in a good way. I'm so excited to see where this is going. And it's kind of like Disney's just doing it right. Same thing happened with Mandalorian. It was like, where is this going? I have to watch next week. I have to keep going with this show because it's so good. You know, and we were asking, well, we watched it again this evening, and we were wondering if they were using this Favreau way of shooting like he does with the Mandalorian, you know, with the screens and every 360 screens or 180 screens. So I wonder if they're incorporating any of this into the Marvel side too, because it just looks fantastic. You know, the scenes where you see the Vision floating in the air and the backdrop behind him, and as he, you know, arrives to the edge of the hex, and you see that light shining on his face, and the difference between being in this beautiful television world that's perfectly lit and sunny and bright, and as he's walking out and it just becoming darker and bluer and more real. You know, I just love to see what they're doing with the set that they have, and the colors and the cinematography is just fantastic. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Was this one of my favorite episodes? I don't know. Maybe because I feel so conflicted about everything that's going on, and I'm just waiting to see what's happening next. So I'm gonna give this one a 4.75. Still pretty high up there though. It's still,
Yeah,
the show is still killing it. Yeah. And for my favorite, I'm gonna cheat a little bit because some of my favorite moments were seeing our characters in their costumes.
yes.
I loved that so much. It was so fun, and I loved how they made them different. You know, they didn't reference that they were their other characters. He was a luchador and she's a fortune teller, you know, and I really liked how they did that. But my favorite scene, I think, is gonna revolve around Agnes. It was so weird. It's so like, because we saw her so aware in the last episode and in tune to what was going on and apart, like in on it. And that felt very, very different this time. And in that interaction with Vision, you know, I also liked Vision's reaction to her saying, yes, I am the Vision, but who are the Avengers? Like, he really has, he's beginning to remember things, it seems like, but at the same time, nothing is coming together for him. So I'm really interested to see where that's going to go next. But yeah, this is a crazy show.
Yeah, because she says dead like 4 times, and then
While she's talking to him.
Yeah, dead, and it's kind of the same way the character in the first episode was saying, stop it, right? So I don't know. There's something going on there. All right, Christopher G. Moore. What's your final thoughts?
So suspenseful. Yeah, I love this episode. It's got so many great moments, and I think it's, you know, it's definitely building some big thing that we have a million different ideas about how it's going to play out, but we don't really know for sure. And I love that aspect of it, especially somebody who sort of can predict. I mean, you have things like Falcon the Winter Soldier. You kind of know it's a color by numbers type thing. It's just comedy and action and all that good stuff, the stuff we normally see. And this is totally different. They have so much rich storylines, so many rich storylines they can play from, and they're sort of manipulating it the same way Scarlet Witch is manipulating her environment to sort of like create their own kind of storyline that plays on your expectations, but also, flips it. And there's like, I love how they're also sort of utilizing, like I said before, utilizing the structure of how these TV shows work. It's like, I love the moment where they're trying to recall how they were as kids, and there's this flashback that looks like some kind of goofy thing you'd see on a sitcom, but doesn't really fit. It's like it's so out of the normality of what we see in Marvel stuff, and I love that. I think this TV show I think is brilliant, and yeah, it has a lot of questions, but it's doing its own thing, and I really wish Marvel would take more chances and do stuff like this that's out of the norm, because I think like a lot of people, I'm kind of over a lot of the superhero stuff because it's all the same kind of stuff. And this is so different and fun and interesting and intriguing and dark and twisted. And, and they seem to be having a lot of fun just creating all these different things and being inspired by so many things and putting so many little Easter eggs everywhere. I mean, it's like, even when you see her like going, hacking into the computers and stuff, the names of the files mean something. That like the whole thing of them trying to get vision is called Operation Cataract. Cataract can be double vision. It could be decreasing vision. So how are they using that? And I think there's another file that kind of ties into our thought that the Fantastic Four may show up. So yeah, it opens up so many different avenues when it comes to the Marvel universe. It also is going to tie into the stuff that we're going to see later. And I think they're just firing on all cylinders when it comes to utilizing these actors in all these different roles, utilizing television of the different eras, and also, being able to tell a story that's kind of like hasn't really been told and when it comes to the superhero genre. So yeah, I love this. I'll definitely give it a 5 out of 5. I enjoyed the hell out of this episode, and it sort of ends on a little bit of a cliffhanger where you're like, oh, I want to know what happens. Does Darcy turn into Knight Rider's car? At least in my mind, that's going to be my TV show, is just her being Kit from Knight Rider, or my secret wife. But as for favorite scenes, kind of hard. I'm gonna do a double thing. Okay,
do it.
The intro. I love the intro. I loved all these intros to these fake TV shows because how it does it like the intros of the normal shows, but then they put their own superhero spin on it. Like when she's brushing her teeth and she just uses her magic to close the door, or when Vision walks through the couch, and then they also have like all these different underlying things that kind of, every time you see Vision with the paper, there's usually something on it about a TV or something, usually something tying into the universe, or like the naughty on the back of which, that was really popular that time, where it's like juicy on the butt, when it comes to those kind of pants at that time. So naughty, which just ties into like, she's a witch. I just know she's a witch. So I'll say that. And I think my second scene would probably be when he goes to the outskirts of that city. And that one scene where they keep doing the repetitive moments and you see that one single tear.
It's really well done.
It really puts into perspective that, like, in order to create this sort of perfect universe for her and her kids and her hubby, these people have to are suffering constantly. Sometimes doing repetitive, or just standing, or just being frozen in place. I can't imagine being trapped. It's like being comatose, I guess, in this universe. And she's doing it. She's been doing it to kids up until the Halloween, because we never saw any kids. So all those kids were just frozen in their beds all this time. That's dark. That's really dark for something that a lot of families are watching. So I don't know. I love that scene, and all the intros. That's the one thing I look forward to. And every time that intro would end with like Evan Peters going that towards the camera, I laugh every time I see that, because you can see that Evan Peters is having the time of his life playing this wacky, uncle character. So anyway, yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I already admitted I love this episode. It is absolutely my favorite, and it is all because of the costumes. I am a Marvel zombie from way back, started in the 70s. So the costumes they're wearing, even though they're hokey Halloween costumes, are my version of the Vision and the Scarlet Witch, even though she's never called the Scarlet Witch. But anyway, it just was perfect. And then Quicksilver too, his hair and the wings. So
I loved the little kids version of it too.
Yes.
Which is almost like devil horns.
Yes. So, well, in a way, but I don't know. This show, I'm loving this show. I'm loving how it's playing with the Marvel Universe, it's playing with our perceptions, it's playing with our expectations, it's teasing us, and it's great. And this is absolutely a 5 for me. I could watch this one over and over and over again. It has some really crazy moments. There's a lot being revealed, but it doesn't say everything, which is great, because we're still asking the questions. We just know a little bit more, and then it's progression. It's progressing. Wanda's starting to become a little cognizant of what's happening, because she's like, I didn't do this, but I don't. But then she reveals to Pietro that it just happened, right? She doesn't know how it happened. So I don't know. They have got me. They have hook, line, and sinker. I'm on board. I love it, and it's fantastic. I'm giving a straight up 5. Can't help it. I'm just, there's a lot to go with as favorite scenes. But I'm going to go with Pietro talking to the Vision when he comes down the steps with his costume, and he asks him, what your stoplight, you're something else, and he says, "You're a booger," and he goes, "Yeah, I'm a booger." It's like, that's perfect. He just kind of gives up, which is, it's really kind of, it would be true to the relationship outside of this if it ever happened, but it's also very true to the moment in TV that they're portraying, right? Mm-hmm. That era, that's what would happen. So I don't know. It's just real done, and really well done. And bless you. And
thank you.
And the interaction between these characters, these three, and the boys as well, is really, really strong. I love it. I want more. Can't wait for next Friday. I like there's a meme going out that I really like where it shows the same picture over and over again. And it's like Monday, Tuesday, and then when it gets to Friday, they have the red eyes, and then Saturday. Yeah. That's it. All right, there you go. If you've been listening to this long, 50 minutes into this, longer than the show itself, we want to thank you for hanging out with us. I hope you got a lot out of this, and I hope you're excited about the show as well. If you want to support us, it's real easy and it's free. Just hit the subscribe button or share with a friend. It's really that easy. If you want to take a little bit more step, you can hit the like button or leave us some comments. We love to hear your comments. We're getting some really interesting thoughts and speculation in the previous one, so thank you all for that. We also want to take a quick moment to thank our patrons, because without the patrons, we wouldn't be able to do not only Heroes and Droids, but Decades of Horror, Horror News Radio, and Gruesome Magazine as well. So thank you all so much. Look for a link if you're interested in participating in that. Oh, man. I guess we should wrap this up. Christopher, Slattman, Vanessa, of course, in full costume. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Oh,
so
it's
much
fun as
fun.
always.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Let's say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.